You're listening to Studio 57 Radio, your home for underground hip-hop, rap, and R&B. Studio 57 Radio.
Where do I come from?
It seems like you have a little problem understanding the English language.
The only way a guy like you gets a set of nuts is by buying them at the concession stand.
I will eat his carcass in front of his little gazelle friends.
He's like a jar of mayonnaise with eyeballs and a ketchup haircut.
Shut your mouth, you thong-wearing fatty!
Son of a bitch.
Wow, man, freaked out!
Get your fucking shit together, my God!
And I'm living now, yeah!
I want to know what's going on, and I want to know right now.
It's like the most important man in the world standing here, and you got a conversation going with you, Jane.
I would like to just get to know you.
A great one says you can kiss his ass.
Nice to meet you. What's going on?
I wish horrible machine disease on you and your family. A disease die. A disease where you have to walk mutated as some sort of...
Listen to me very carefully.
Whatever your name is, get ready for the big prize.
Listen to me very carefully.
Maybe I am insane. And maybe it's time for you to find out how insane I am, yeah!
We're not here to take part! We're here to take over!
Welcome. We're back. I'm back in the CN. Rolling with another episode of Belt Collectors Unite. I hope you're ready. We are going to talk championships, of course, out a few different options that are available to you in this hobby, and what we're going to have for you at J-Dubs. And, we'll tackle the whole, bullying and hate and kind of like negativity goes on in the groups and how you can combat that. And anything else you wanted to, we're going to welcome Belt Collector Unite. Yo, what up, no? It's your boy, Scrappy the Guy. How are you all doing? I hope everybody well and good, being healthy and safe, and everything's on the up and up for you. It's been a crazy year 2020 for everybody. I don't care who you are and what's going on. It has been far from normal. It's been as tough as it has been for some people. It's way tougher for others, and keeping that in mind and in your thought process is hard when through your own stuff, and when you're frustrated and all that, it can build up. So we're going to kind of talk about how it's affecting the hobby. We've got middlemen back in business. We've got new belt makers / old belt makers / how can you tell the difference belt makers. And we're going to get into a little bit of that today, too. We're on the social media, Studio 57 Radio across the board. We're on the J-Dubs Facebook page as well as Studio 57's YouTube, Facebook. We got Stitcher, all that fun stuff. You can check us out. What's happening, SoCal, Mike, Brian, everybody, thanks for chiming in, hanging out. We have got the text line available to you if you don't want to get in on the social and you want to have your own kind of secret spot and be anonymous and get in on the conversation. Your text line is 313-307-5340. Go ahead and hit us up there, and I'll everything you want to answer. I'll get your voice out there, and we'll have a conversation. Other than I'll be trying to bounce through the social media, chat rooms, and things like that. Try to get everybody's opinion, voice, part of this thing as us belt collectors unite together in combating some of the crazy stuff that goes on in this hobby. I'm gonna tip it off with the belt maker situation, guys. There's a lot of new belt makers out, and they're not new belt makers. Like, I think all of us that have been in the hobby understand this situation, but if you're kind of new to the hobby, that's kind of more what this belt community is about. And then when new things pop up that people don't know, we need to inform everybody and get that out there. So I don't know how prevalent it really is, because, like I said, I'll admit lately, I've been kind of locked in my own little world of getting stuff done. I had my own personal setbacks, and then we had things going on with the business and orders and the COVID, and made everything crazy. And we're just starting to get caught up, and now COVID's flaring back up, and things are going to get crazy. Who knows what will happen? So it's like you got to get on your grind. So I haven't been in groups, and I haven't been bouncing around the social media as much. But I have taken a little bit of time to kind of get in there and see what's going on as of late. And what you're seeing are a couple of different things we're going to get into today. One being the belt makers with that are just like, okay, so if we are assuming that all these new belt makers or profiles of belt makers are all new belt makers, then there's millions of belt makers out there. Like, how many people can make championship belts? All that is manufactured in Pakistan anymore is championship belts, because there are so many of them. I just, the odds are no. I mean, let's be real. And so you're seeing a lot of guys that are coming out, and of course we already know, because we've done it with the exposure we've out some of these belt makers with their 300 aliases. So we know that's out there, right? I mean, I think it's pretty obvious. But now they've like run out of. Now they're using American names as screen names. So when Steven Anderson asks you to buy a belt from him, and you look, and he's from Pakistan, and he's been manufacturing belts, and he's got a huge quantity, but nobody's ever heard of the guy. Chances are that his name isn't Steven Anderson, and he's been making belts for a while, because he's probably another maker that we know. And so be wary of some of that stuff. I think, though, to me, they make it super obvious, right? I mean, maybe I'm crazy, but like, if I'm going to be Steven Anderson, the guy, then I'm going to be from I don't know, Kitchener, Ontario, or I'm going to be from, Findlay, Ohio. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm going to be from like Hammond, Indiana. I'm not going to be from, overseas, And so I think when you're doing these when you're seeing some of these belt makers, you're just seeing repeats of belt makers that have necessarily, for whatever reason, have not been able to maintain a name or reputation for themselves, and of course come back with aliases. And that's kind of unfortunate, because you do have guys out there that are really good, Luke Mon, Teen, of course, and some other guys that have quite a while that put out a good product and maintain a working relationship with people in the hobby, and those that you can kind of trust to deal with. Regardless of what's going to happen, you're going to get your belt. Right now is the way things are. When you're going to get your belt and how it's going to go is really hard to say. But I think like there's guys out there, if they're honest and they communicate with you, then you can work with them. I've got a guy that I like to work with, and our communication's really good, and I don't believe that he's dishonest with me, so he's followed through on everything up to this point, so I've got no issues, and things work good when I want something from overseas made. But I think these guys do themselves a disservice. I don't know what your take is on it, guys at social media. Hey, what's going on, Samir? Okay, so Samir maybe might help us, Samir Championship. So I'm only assuming, Samir, maybe I'm wrong, but you are a manufacturer from overseas. I see you kind of understand dealing with us on our end, because belt we can vary and can be very hurt and excited and things like that. But I think a lot of it comes because of stuff that we're seeing. And I would assume, Samir, that you would want to build your name and build your reputation and build your clients and maintain that, so that you can go not have to start all over again. But I don't know what is on that. That's what, for me, that would do it. But you're seeing more and more of these belt makers that are like the guys, when you somebody that you like the putting out, just kind of ride with that. And once again, that's what we talk about in this hobby. It's great for people to give you references, but who are these people that you're getting references from? Like, I could very easily have like a bunch of people like in my clique I know or whatever just say how great I am, and even if I'm a dirtbag, scam, And whether you're a maker or a person in the hobby, a collector or something, and you're making trades or you're trying to go with the money and selling things, buying things, whatever, you know, getting a reference is only goes so far if you don't, you know, if the reference isn't somebody that you understand be good. So that's a lot part of how this hobby needs to work a little bit as well. So so I appreciate you guys for getting in and hanging out with us. So we're gonna keep the conversation open the entire show. But for me, I just think when you're dealing with an overseas maker, it's super simple. You know, you're going to find whoever, via whatever means, they've got a reputation developed. That don't go with these new cats that you don't know. Let them develop a reputation. Let them find somebody and start quality effect and putting things out. It was the same thing even with J-Dubs, right? When I started and we started making belts here, it was I didn't even have really attention on making any belts. Somebody came because I was making them for myself, and they were like, "Wow, that's nice. You know, would you be interested in doing, you know, making something for me?" And I never really thought about it, but he's like, "Put some thought to it and get back to me," and hence everything was born from there. And I tried to develop a reputation, spread the word. They show off the belt, they talk to me. You get stuff like that, and that's how it should work. Guys, don't get random stuff. Like, take your time and let things develop naturally, and see who is putting out a good consistently and doesn't have, you know, people complaining about, you know, shady business, bad communication. To me, communication is everything. And guys, whether you're a maker and you're listening or you're a collector and you're listening, you guys can attest to this. An open line of communication is everything. And that's not belts, that's life, right? It's relationships with your kids and your wife. It's business relationships with your boss and clients and everything else you do, regardless of whether it's belt or not. It's everything. Like, that's the way everything should be kind of approached, I think. But it doesn't always work out that way. So, like I said, guys, when you find somebody you're comfortable with, that's why I don't solicit and I don't look and I don't try to get, because if you found somebody that you're happy with and you're getting what you want, then that's what the hobby's about. You know, I'm not in it to make big ass money. I don't make money. I don't do it for that. I'm trying to give back to the hobby. I've taken enough from this world in my short stint on it. I'm trying to give back to it in whatever way I can with whatever talents I have. And for whatever reason, I was led in this direction, and I'm not sure why. And so that I was letting it happen. And so I just prefer not to generate revenue for myself. So what little bit of money we do, we put back into making the product better and offering more services. And once again, that's how business grows. The communication's good with our clientele, and that's how it works. You have develop a good reputation. Hopefully, everything works out for you that way. And I don't see the methodology with not just season makers, guys. It's the middlemen that are here dealing with it. It's a lot of stuff going on. So you've got middlemen coming back, getting in the game because they know that. That's the other thing that cracks me up too. Middlemen can do some dirty work for a while, disappear for a year or two, and then come back and like nobody's. Oh, I'm back in business, and nobody thinks nothing of it. And that's the same thing with some of these makers. So we got to be better as a community that stuff out. So, like, you know, I had a guy who wants, and we talked about it a little bit in past, that I'm not going to continue to call these fools out unless I have to, but it is an example. I had a middleman that's mad at me for my take on middlemen and what's going on in a lot of these groups, and we'll talk a little bit about, we'll segue into that here in a second, what's going on in some of these groups. My boy Juan, if you're out there, congratulations on the little boy that coming or family, and then he's involved a little story with him too. So little stories and why we have to, you know, police this thing as a group, united. That's the whole point of like doing this podcast, having the Collectors Unite group on Facebook that goes along with this podcast. It's to, you know, we got to police this ourselves. There's nobody else that's going to do us right but each other, and you know, to weed out the dum-dums. And so that's a tough gig to slow. no matter how many of us there are. So the more the merrier, right? But I'm that's mad because of my take on middlemen. You go, I just feel like a middleman, if he's not providing us, okay. So if you get plates done from somebody and then you get them shipped to another guy who does leather and stones them, like to the extreme, right? He's cool stuff. So he's got some cool, like, so let's say you order some plates from a guy and you send it to him and he does the leather or does some wild stuff, does some cool like modifications to it that you want, restones it, whatever. He does a lot of cool services over there. So let's say you do that. And then it comes to you. And let's say, I don't know that he do this, but he facilitated the purchase of the plates through another maker. That is a bit of a middleman, but he's providing you a service, right? So he says, hey, yeah, if you want to do something, I'd do it for you. I even got a guy that could make the plates for you, and then you get the plates made and sent to him, and he does that for you. That kind of middleman is you see in regular business, right? Where you see certain middlemen that, whether it's, automotive industry or whatever, that's an acceptable kind of a middleman thing to me. For someone to just monopolize a maker's time by putting in huge amounts of orders and dominating his time and what he's doing and how he's doing it, and then taking those basically orders, so to speak, and then just taxing it on for the simple fact of taxing it on. And he gets a great deal because he'll come in with such a huge order to everybody's, and so I think that's just somebody taking advantage of the hobby as opposed to giving back to the hobby, which I just feel is a different. So that's my take. So I've had a guy, get all hot about that and threaten me and bully and all that other shit, and it's kind of funny. It's almost embarrassing. That's why I don't put it up there, because like it's just embarrassing that a grown person acts this way, and if I have to, I'd put it out there like it. But at the moment, I think everything's on the down low, so we'll just kind of keep it there. But he would boast about like these huge numbers that he did. Middleman flipping illegal bootleg belts, and it's like, okay, I'm not sure if I should be proud. I'm not sure what I should be more impressed with. That you do these belts that probably shouldn't do that numbers for middlemen purposes. Should I be proud and happy, like basically admitted to a felony? Like I don't know. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to be excited about. From a business standpoint, those numbers are actually really small. The company I work for, my day job, they rake in millions per month, and you're talking about real dollars, not like these little hundreds of thousands a year. We're talking about $9, $10, $12 million a month. And we're not a huge business, you know what I'm saying? So, so like, it's like I'm not sure how to take it when you start talking about stuff like that. And I just feel like when that's what drives you, is to make this money and to take away from the hobby, then I think that you're just exactly what I was talking about. When you come in and get crazy like that, you prove my point. And I'm with you, SoCal Mike. Trying not to deal with middlemen is the best way to do it. It saves you money, and it'll save you a little bit of money in the long haul. And then you don't have to worry about like being a drop in the bucket and being one of 100 or whatever. And you can just be one of one, and that's a little bit better. You can have the direct communication, and then there's none of that. He said shit. You know what I'm saying? So it's just a better way overall to do it. Like, you wouldn't talk to your, girlfriend through some random human being. So you wouldn't go to a Myers and like talk to somebody outside and say, hey, go in and see how much it is, and then okay, all right, now okay, it's that much. Okay, now go in and buy this one, that one, and that one, and then break. And then you wouldn't do that, and I'll give you more money. Like it's DoorDash thing all over. I get that people dig the DoorDash, but it's at least a service. At least a service. They're bringing something to your house, but that is like to me. That's like right on the fringe. So if you weren't providing a service like that, bringing something to your house when you maybe couldn't get out or travel or don't want to, or just being lazy or convenience, then that's a little bit different. But this is not a convenient thing, because you get caught up in all orders, and now you're one of 100 orders, and you got to wait for all these orders to get done before your stuff gets, and you get caught up in the loop. It's just, there's all kinds of different things that go along with middlemen. So be very, very careful, be very wary. And so that kind of brings me to the thing. So, I talk about that stuff and people get mad, and, I get bullied, and I get it. That's kind of that's what happens. The two that I talked to long before they were maker, and that's a thing. If you have a friend, if you have somebody that you've already had a relationship with, it happens to say, hey, I got a guy, I think that's different. But I think that guy, and that guy's not out to make money off the masses and necessarily off of you. So that's a different type of relationship, right? So I get it. I think that one falls more in line, and that would be the way to do it. I'm glad you and Mike. I'm glad that you enjoy those belts that we made for you, and you guys will see them occasionally as I start trickling in some of these things I've sent out. But yeah, I mean, it's just a crazy world out there. So, like I said, people get mad and they bully. Now, some people just bully for no reason. Now, some people just bully because they're dicks, and like Napoleon syndrome, or whatever the hell their fucking deal is, and they come like a keyboard badass, and you got little tough talking Tonys, as we call them here, because they it's like, dude, what even inspires that? So our boy Juan, who listens to the show quite a bit, and congratulations again, Juan, on the upcoming boy, and we gotta get him into wrestling and belts and all that stuff. You gotta get another generation of us out there. So that's good stuff. But anyway, he dealt with that just in even the silliest things, right? Like, you guys know there's kinds of different belts out there on social media, all kinds for whatever you're into, whether you're into the raffles, which is another thing that we'll get into another time that you should stay away from probably, and just different things. But there's the homemade belt group, and I love that belt group. That was like the first one I got into because it's more of a judge-free zone. And this is why I buy this story here, as I tell you. I've always loved that group because it's a place where everybody's making home. You know what I'm saying? So you had all these crazy wonky belts and crazy unique ideas and fun goofy stuff out of whatever materials you could find and whatever you could get your hands on. Kind of hired you make something, and it was very cool. I loved it. It was everybody real supportive and all that stuff like that. And that group is still like that. So if you guys get a chance to check it out, for sure do that. But every once in a while, you get a fucking jerk off in there. And we had a jerk off in there. Juan was working on a little, he got an NXT stock strap from somebody and was doing a craft and hooking up a thing and making a nice belt, homemade belt, and posting it in the homemade belt group thing. It's like, you're sitting at home, you got nothing to do. This is your hobby. You have fun doing it. And you got a place where you can go and show it off and talk to other people that do stuff and get ideas and have fun. And this ass clown starts ripping on it. Dude, I got heated. I'm like, you know what? I ain't even trying to hear that. So, I went at the dude, and other cats will go at dude, but, that's kind of how you handle clowns like that. And he ultimately deleted his comment and got that out of there because, once again, a bunch of us kind of came to the rescue, so to speak, and that's what I love about the community. It's not all, but there's that bullying and that, oh, your belt's crap. We've seen it before. That's what got me kicked out of one of the production groups out there, because I said something about that, not only in the group when it was going down and no one was like doing anything to really sit, as far as an admin standpoint, but when I called them out on the podcast as well. So then I got, and it was, and other than that, I haven't, posted or said much in those groups other than maybe pictures or throwing on people's stuff and things like that, or, so I'm not super active in the groups. So, but you can look and see when things kind of happen on your time. It's not hard. And so, yeah, so you could tell when things, and it was a direct result of what I would say here, but, and that was more of just, I've been talking about that and just using as an example for quite a while on this podcast. I'm consistent with that stuff. And people would just want an example of groups to look out for, and I just named them and whoop-de-woo, and, hey, man, you run a group like that, don't get mad at me if I name drop you for it. I mean, I get it. You don't have to like me for it. I don't expect you to, but, geez, the things that these idiots acted and did and said, it's crazy. And it's like, so there's a couple different one is the typical way, right? Just kind of let it go. If it doesn't get too out of hand, then pop them one, or maybe just pop them right off the bat. But you almost always have to combat that with something. I don't know. Some guys can just blow themselves out tired, but it just depends on the situation, guys. But we need to come together. And you see somebody getting bullied and messed around over there, what they like and what they enjoy doing in this hobby, I think it's our duty to all kind of stand up and help them out. Even if you agree, even if I saw that and went, oh, that is the most hideous thing I've ever fucking seen, and I thought his comment was witty and funny, but mean, and I would not support it, and I would say don't. That's not cool. Even if I thought all that shit, which I wouldn't. But how people say mean stuff and you laugh. Oh damn, that was cold. Even if I thought that, even if I agreed, I wouldn't do that. That's just so nuts. I've been homemade being an admin, but I saw that one. Juan's a good guy, and we don't deal with that shit. He got warned and deleted, but he bailed, and that's kind of what happens. These guys are cowards in the end. So you can, like I said, there's multiple ways to kind of deal with an online bully. The cool thing is that if the group is cool, they can just be pumped out pretty simple, and that's kind of the way it should go, Mike. So that's cool. But yeah, it's just an example. Not on the group, like I said. I want to make it clear. I really love that group, and that's my home group. That's my first group I ever got into. Just nosing around in social media world. So, like I said, nothing super crazy, but we got to stand up together, and that's what it's all about. So enjoy groups. A lot of other groups are like that. The groups that are run by middlemen and have all that stuff, dude, enjoy the pictures, enjoy people's collections, enjoy what's going on, enjoy the group for what it is, but understand that all those things that we talk about that can be negative in this hobby are potentially boiling in that group, and just be careful, just be worried. There's nothing wrong with enjoying that group. And a lot of people, most of the people that are in those groups are good people. They're not out to get you. It's not like the place is meant to come get you. Yo, Juan, here he is, Juan himself. We were just talking about you, my brother. Congratulations on the boy. So good stuff. I didn't mean to use you as an example on the show, my friend, but we kind of did, as we talked about the way people just are assholes on the internet when it comes to the incident I'm talking about. So we just kind of talked a little bit about that, what to watch out for, and how we should kind of come together and look out for each other, and how to deal with those kinds of situations. And nobody needs that kind of shit. So Juan, we love you, man. I'm glad everything's going well with your family and all that. And I got your order in, so we're gonna get some belts made for you, and things are gonna be good. It's gonna be fun, and we're not gonna worry about the haters, because I got news for you. If people ain't hating on you, then you ain't working hard enough. It's just that simple. I come from an entertainment industry where everybody's hating on you, and everybody's dirty, and everybody's got something to say. But in the end, if you're in the right and you've got your moral compass the right way, it don't fucking matter. It'll all work out. But you got to be able to. It's everywhere, man. It's everywhere. This is not exclusive to this and what's going down. So, if you guys didn't get the updates, we are back and rocking. I usually open the show with updates, but I flipped the script today because we're going to kind of end the show with a few other things. I want to show you some of the stuff we have here, and what we're going to come from a product standpoint moving forward with our high-end stuff. You guys have seen our main eventers in under. We use the aluminum alloy. They're not acid etched, but they are CNC cut. Auto vinyl wrap that gives you the look that you want from those belts. They're super light, but they're super durable, and they look super awesome. And we get you a really good price because everything's 100 and under. You can get it on real leather. You can get real, Swarovskis and stuff on them. Lots of different options there. Hand painted options. It all depends on the design, what we got to do. But we really hook up an affordable belt there. You've seen those. That's our bread and butter. That's what we've done forever, and we'll continue to do those. Those aren't going. But we're trying to expand the upper end of our belts and stuff like that. And you guys know, as collectors, when you go out and you look for your belt, you're looking for I only have X amount of dollars, so I'll go with meter brass. I got a little extra money to spend. I really like that belt. I would like to get that to 4mm zinc, because I'm going to break down some of that stuff, and then show you what we offer, and then what we do, and how you can get how we're going to kind of expand and get some of those things you get from other makers that we haven't offered up to this point. So, and then it's a little knowledge, insight on, especially for cats that are a little bit green, as far as what you can get and what's out there. It'll also help you in the resale market. So there's a lot of belts out there, whether it be the J-Dub belts or AJ's belts or Mateen's or all these other guys that are from overseas that make all these great belts. And so in this hobby, we trade and we sell and we move, and these things float all around. And so it'll help you in your resale too. You'll know what questions to ask, what to look for. That'll be obvious. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that, and then just kind of correlate it with some of the stuff that we have and what we're going to offer as we upgrade. So it's kind of a long-winded explanation. I got a bunch of plates over here, and we're kind of just going to compare the results of what you get by using different materials and techniques. How's that? That's really what we're doing, but I'm going to tie it into what we offer for J-Dubs and what you can expect and what you're looking out for in the hobby. So I got our little cam thing up here, and I'm going to go over to their mic, and we're going to rock it here in a second. But so what you can kind of see, I've got three just in the frame here, and center frame is like a super cheap option. A lot of the homemade belt makers use this option. This is our one of our higher options because we make belts so cheap. What we're hoping to be able to do is, as we add these even greater, better materials, we'll be able to bring the price down on this particular belt. But this belt in the center is an acid etched from an aluminum stock, so that's 3mm aluminum right there. And then on the camera side to the left, you'll see the Excellence of Execution Championship that we're working on, and that's a 2mm brass. It's acid etched. And then all the way on the right, you'll see a TNA title. Now that's a plate, but that's a 4mm zinc. I believe that one was probably CNC'd. So we're not going to be able to get to a CNC level, but the clarity and the depth that you get in a zinc plate, I think, is obvious. And I think, though this one's even a little bit more so because it was CNC, this is not like an HD type scenario where like you're seeing with a lot of the newer CNC belts. We would love to get to that point, and maybe somewhere down the road when I decide to make this a full-time profession and we move it on to the money thing and making it a thing like that, then maybe that's what I'll do. I'll get a CNC. But right now we just do acid etching. So I just want to show you all the different examples and kind of what you can expect. And I also have another plate that's a little bit further in. It's with that aluminum. I use a slightly different technique and got a different result. And it's very cool from just, depending on what you're doing, you utilize different techniques. So for example, I will be showing off at some point on the page, the J-Dubs page, the pictures of SoCal Mike's 3-belt order that he got from me. They're his designs, but they were very much, to me, as we were making it, they were like the idea that he was kind of conveying, and the vibe I got from the designs and what we were doing was that they were like a forged steel kind of worn leather kind of a throwback, like Viking kind of feel to the belt. So I utilized a certain technique, a certain way of doing it to make it feel that way. Everything from the tooling to how we dyed the leather so we could have that worn look, to the way we painted it, etched it, like everything, so it had that feel. And that whole series, all three of them had that feel, even though they were all different belts. And one was a kid-size belt, actually, which we'll show those off in the coming weeks. If you haven't already seen them out there, because Mike's been showing them off, but you'll be able to get up close and personal with them because that's how we do on the page. So J-Dub Belts page, check that out, throw us a like, and you'll be able to see that there. But So utilizing different techniques and being creative in other places, that's another thing that I ourselves on, and I don't know if that separates us from other cats, but sometimes I think it does, you know. And it doesn't necessarily from the big boys, but we're not the big boys, right? We're a low-level guy, but I feel like overseas in cats that are mass producing belts, whether they're a company here or overseas, whatever, they're not utilizing a lot of these techniques that you see the Millikins and the OGs of the game here that did the original handcrafted championships. You know what I mean? That's what we want to kind of incorporate and stuff like that. So, thank you, SoCal, Mike. I appreciate that. I'm glad your boy is having fun with it and is enjoying his belt. And I'm also glad that we hit the nail on the head with that particular set of belts. And you know, that's the kind of stuff that we want to pride ourselves on when I'm making belts, when I'm doing stuff. That's kind of what I do. So I'm going to utilize different techniques on this stuff, but I want to show you just some of the results that we get from some of the stuff. So I got the cam set up. Let me go turn on this other mic, and I'm going to go over there, and we're going to see if we can't keep this thing rolling as far as. I'll just show you what's going on here. Let me get myself out of here. Hold on. All right. So let me get this thing up here a little bit more by me. All right. So this is that aluminum plate, and it's just 3 millimeter. And when you get it, it's super gray. Like, here's the back of it. It's really horrid, you know. So some of the stuff's been cleaned off and wiped down, but so it has a little bit of a shine to it. But you got to get, this isn't buffed and polished yet, but, you know, you got to get it to at least that point once you've got it etched. And that's where this one is here. So you can get a good, I don't know how well that kind of comes through sound-wise. You can get a pretty good etch. It's really, when we compare it, let me move this one out of the way, and we'll bring this in to the frame. This is a 2 millimeter brass. Now, when I pick up, now this plate is huge. When I pick this plate up, it's not very heavy because it's aluminum. This one's actually heavier, and it's smaller, more of a normal size, and it's only 2 millimeters. So you're talking about a much harder, denser material than aluminum. So I can acid etch these really fast, as opposed to something like this takes more time. And so it's a little bit of a different technique. I'm going to use a different solution for something like this than I will for something like this as well, because I need a more concentrated solution to cut through this, and it's going to take longer. And since it's taking longer, I can't be too aggressive, because the resist that's on there has got to be able to withstand all the gassing and things that come along with doing that. This is the same thing. Once again, you don't want to be super aggressive, so you have to have a special mix. You have to know what your ratios are when you're dealing with your acid, and it's just a different technique altogether with. But you can get a great product out of both. Now, here in the States, getting a plate, this plate would cost me, you know, just the materials. Like, one of these plates is like $35-40, and then you got to get it shipped, and that's just for a 2 millimeter brass. And trying to find 4 millimeter brass and in zinc and stuff like that's really hard, but when you do, it gets super expensive. So we're trying to find ways to get the prices down, and so you can compete with these guys that are putting out a product overseas. But this is definitely a better material from here. But for the price point on something like this, having an American-made championship, having the craftsmanship and the thought process that goes along into creating the art that is this piece, then, you know, you handle it a little bit different, and that's what we're going to try to get our edge with. And so we'll utilize different techniques. You know, I've seen Milliken use a texture technique that I really love. We used it on, we used one similar to it anyway on SoCal mics, on your belts in some areas, and it really added a cool dimension to the belt when you see it up close. So I'm going to probably do that in these areas here, and then we'll paint this belt for the most part. But it'll get polished up and shiny, and you get a nice silver belt. Now, what's cool about using a material like this is, if you're a pro, if this is for a company, so if a pro wrestler is carrying a belt around, this at least isn't a heavy pain in the ass to carry around all the time. Also, you put the buffing wheel on this, or just really wipe it down with a white rag really good, this thing will shine right back up. I mean, it like really quick. And so for a silver look, I really, really love the aluminum plates. You've seen the King of the Jungle title, and we did an MMA title here that's still kind of in my collection, and they're made of this material. And to be honest with you, though I love zinc and what zinc can get, and it gives you a real heavy feel and all that stuff, and I love zinc. It's probably my favorite. This is probably my second right here with this aluminum, just because depending on the technique you use, and I'll explain here in a minute as I show another belt, another plate, but depending on the technique you use and what you're trying to come across and get with, I really, really love what you can do, the versatility with this particular material. And we're just talking about aluminum here. But like I said, I think you could do really fun stuff with it. So it just depends on what you're looking for, guys. You're not going to see a lot of this with overseas makers or manufacturers or anything like that, but you're seeing more and more with the homemade makers. We do it. I'm sure there's other smaller companies that would provide something similar, but I don't think there's that many out there. But you're starting to see more and more float around in the hobby, so don't be afraid if someone says, "Oh, hey, I got this custom belt that was made. The plate's like, etched aluminum. If it looks cool, it'll be a little bit lighter than what you're used to having, but it is still super, super cool thing." And then, like I said, if you're on the fence with going with us and going with that material, don't be afraid. You've seen the pictures of some of the cool stuff we did, and we're going to post more. So that's kind of like the early phases of what this plate is. So what this plate will get some texture and get some paint. Well, I'll have to bend it, and we'll get some paint, and it get buffed and get some paint, and no big deal. And then the cool thing is when it's all done, I can buff it down again, and it looks all shiny, ready to go. And that's kind of how I do it. Do touch-ups and then buff it down and get it out the door before I get it all dirty again. Because you want to walk around and take pictures of these things when they're done. They're so sweet. But I got to do my business pictures and then get them the fuck on. So that would be the only thing. You can see where I leave the fingerprints, but they're so easily wiped off that it's really not an issue. I always keep a rag with mine, wipe it down real quick, and boom, it's even shinier than before. So I do love that material for the price point and the versatility. Like I said, that's probably my number 2 material for belts. So when we make these and we do this stuff, like I said, this takes a little bit longer. And then, of course, since this is already basically the finish it's going to be, you can go right to painting and all that. Once this one's etched, cleaned, and ready to go, it's got to get plated. And so we utilize an electroplating process here, and that's basically you're plugged in, you got a voltage scenario, you put a clamp on it, and you use this solution and voltage to lay down a thin layer of either 24 karat gold or nickel, whatever you're looking to do. And so, or both, to get you that dual plated look. Our electroplater, like this plate wouldn't be too hard for me because it's not, but a plate this size would be a bitch. And this would probably be a little tough. It just doesn't get it even in the right, you have to move the ground to get it to really affect all of it real well. And getting the fluidity is really hard. So some of our belts, the ones that we've done this way, have come out well. But, when you take it to a place and have it dipped, or you have a guy that has a bigger, heavier machine that can get a heavier coating and do a better job of plating it, then that's what we're going to do. So that's going to be something new for us, that we will go and have these done from a plater. So this one came back from a plater, and we've got another set or two coming back next week. So, and we're just kind of doing that because I think it not only does it free up more time to do other stuff, I think we're providing a better product that way. And it's the same thing. If I can make this 4mm zinc scenario work out, it'll be the same scenario where we'll be able to get the prices down a little bit and give you a better product. So now that kind of now before I get onto that zinc, I wanted to show you something I was talking about earlier here, and I'm gonna have to get the camera. So here's one. Now this one is in mid-process, so I don't usually show these off because the painting process, there's touch-ups to be done. I've got to clean things up, and it's just not finished. So, you know, where you kind of bleed over, you got to rub that stuff off, and then where you kind of aren't there, you got to go in and touch things up. And so this is a little bit, not quite ready yet, but I figured I'd show it because what I did here was a little bit different acid bath technique. With this one, we utilized a spray scenario. We'd put it on there. As it was active, we'd clear the slag and spray more on there. This one was in a bit more of a bath where it sat, and it pooled on top, and then we would dump slag and then pool it on top. And then we did as well is we took a slightly more concentrated, a little bit more powerful, and then when we did our last, you know, clear of the slag, we let that thing bubble and gas and do its thing, and then we froze. We let it sit, and we let the acid stop doing. We let it actually sit out in an aired environment until it dried completely. The acid was dried and complete. And what that did is it gave me this beautiful texture in the area that was etched. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this camera and we're going to get a little closer, and I'm going to try to show you the difference. Okay, so here is like a spray. Now I'm going to put a texture in there, so I wanted to isolate the texture only to that, and utilizing the technique I'm explaining here now, I can't isolate it. It's going to be throughout the whole thing. So this is the typical etch where it's fairly smooth and clean. So I'll add a texture to that because I want all these to be smooth and clean for painting. Now this one, I wanted the texture, and then I was going to add super thick paint to give it an added dimension and kind of take away from that. So what we did here is that this texture, if you look in these wings, you can see that texture in there. And so now it really adds a dimension to an eagle that in the design is not painted. It stays silver in the design, and so when you're looking at it, you can just see all this great texture and the feathers and everything. I just think it really came out good. This camera doesn't do it a shit ton of justice. Wait till I get some pictures on it in a real video. But just to have all that texture in those feathers, I just thought it was beautiful. So it was a risk doing it like that and utilizing that technique, but it was one that was totally worth it because the payoff was excellent. So now as I get this thing painted up and cleaned up a little bit better and more detail on that, then that is only going to stand out more. So stay tuned. We'll have some good high-def pictures and video of it when it's complete. And when it's accompanied on this leather, I mean, that's just going to pop. So that's what I like about, and what I was talking about, versatility with this material. Utilizing this technique to get this texture is really, really hard with this 2mm brass. So that's what I love about it. That's why this to me is number 2 on my favorite materials of the 3 I'm showing you today, and really just in general. Now you cannot gold plate aluminum, and I don't see the chat. Let me maybe spin that so I can see what's going on in there. But you cannot gold plate aluminum, so that would be the drawback, that anytime you use this you would have silver only. And that's why I like zinc, because when you get to zinc, you can utilize, there are ways to, you maybe can't use a technique like this, but there are ways to mimic those kind of results. And I think you get a better result from a zinc. So here's a zinc, and you guys know the deal. It's a 4mm zinc. It's a TNA title. This is actual replica plate, and I believe it to be machined, but you get a much cleaner, deeper etching from a zinc. And when you hold this thing in your hand, it is uber heavy. And so people really love that bulk, that heavy, as collectors, I think, more. And so for me, because you can dual plate this, and you can do, you can get such a good etching that when you utilize those texture techniques, it really pops well. It makes zinc by far the best, but nowhere near affordable. Trying to even find a 4mm zinc product to get shipped to the United States as far as a plate is not easy to do, and it's not fucking cheap when you get it. So that's really what holds up. That's why when you get from an American belt maker that uses, they're $600, $900, $1,200, and sometimes even more because of those kinds of things. So yeah, guys, 1,000,001 ways to get belts and plates and materials to utilize to make them, but I think obviously the zinc is the way to go if you've got the scratch. But if you are coming to us and you're cool with a silver belt, I would highly recommend working with these aluminum, whether we're doing 2, 3, 4mm, whether we're making knockout side plates or any kind of cool stuff that we can do with this material fairly easy. Then yeah, this is the way to go from a cost and everything. So there you go. That's kind of all the stuff that we got going on here. Now we're going to offer, we do these now. I'm working right now. I'm hoping that I'll be making the announcement during the holiday season, and that'll be our big present to you guys. I'm hoping that I will have 4mm zinc option for you guys, and then we can go from there. Hopefully get it at a reasonable price. And then if I can get a reasonable price and I can get the margin right, we can potentially bring down the prices on some of the other belts and or give multi-belt discounts. So that's what I'm also hoping to announce for the holidays. So that's why I kind of bring all this stuff up. And then as we get examples of that material and I get something done as an example to show you, and we'll do all this again. And maybe I'll bring out every level of every belt and we'll kind of lay them out and get more in depth. And we'll do a whole show on it. But I wanted to just kind of show you and hopefully not bore you to sleep as far as this stuff goes. So, all right, let me get this out of the way and head back to my seat here. All right, here we go. All right, here we go. I need more belts. I'm with you, Mike. I'm all about more belts. I think everybody is. And so we'll hook you up. All your custom ones, you know where to go. That US is looking good. Thank you very kindly. Sadly, the US isn't mine one. It's based on the GTS. Yes. James York, a guy that you see hanging out with us sometimes, that is his belt, and it's based on the GTS US. But Mike's US or American Championship, I should call it, is dope as hell. That's a great design. Oh, look at that. Oh, talking about them already. Yep. So, okay. Well, I'll get the official word when you're ready. I'll stay up out of there, but thanks, SoCal. I'll do any cool ones you want to throw our way. So, yeah, that's kind of how that's rolling there. We're going to try to get you some better options and stuff like that, like I said. Once I've got some 4mm zinc here and we can kind of do stuff and make things happen, I can get a good solid example to show off. We'll do it, and then I will try to get down the road. I will try to have a completed belt of every kind here at one time. I'm trying to have it for me because I want to take them and travel. And I'm going to show off the studio at some point. And when I do, I'll show you our cool new layout we've got here with all the belts that we keep here that are part of my collection. But I also like to try to keep an example of every belt that we offer at least the higher end ones. But I'm going to try to get some of the other ones. I'll get one of each. I have one of each, I'm sure, if I get through all my collections and stuff. You know, because I got them all over the place. But when I get, I got some right here behind me. When I get, I want to be able to take them when I go to a company and say, hey, look, this is what I have to offer. These are all the levels and stuff. So I've got this case over here that I can lay all these belts in and take the case with me and just walk right into a place, lay it down, and then just pull them out one at a time and show them off, and people can actually touch them and see them. And so I sell to companies locally and regionally, and so I want to, and not only do I do it, I even, you know, naturally, because you can do it digitally, at any point in time, I can take a picture or a video or something like that, and it's authentically new and personal of something in my hand, so they physically know it's, you know what I mean? And so I like to have that authenticity and have that there, and especially if I go somewhere to a company, because we have a ton of them, I want to see the product, touch the product, and know what they're getting. And so I'll have something here, and we'll go through and we'll show them all off. So I want to thank everybody for all the cool stuff you guys have been doing. You've been very supportive of me and all that stuff. A lot of support on the other all the hater bullshit, and that's cool, man. Like I said, thing, you know, your brothers, you know, nobody's out there, you know, trying to get one over on each other. You will be just fine, even though it seems like it's a debacle right now. It's kind of like the country, right? It's a microcosm of what's going on in the country. It seems like a debacle, but at some point we'll get it right if we all stick together and look out for each other. It's really that simple. So I don't care what side of the fence of the aisle you're on. Go vote, have your voices heard, just like I tell you here in our chat room and our social media. Have your voices heard, like Cal Mike and Juan and everybody that's gotten in, Samir and Canada Mike is in here, and Brian and Brandon and everybody. Thank you so much for getting on the conversation. You know, that's how things get talk about stuff. That's how we learn. That's how we grow. Is having that open communication conversation. And the best way to have that conversation is to not sell. It's just to go out and exercise your right to vote. So we're getting in the closing days, and I'm not getting political. I'm just telling you, I don't want to hear you bitching if you didn't take the time to get things, you know, have your voice heard. You can't be mad that no one was listening. So on that note, like I said, we will be getting some cool new stuff together. I'll start bringing you stuff. Next time, though, when we come here, I think I'm going to get into the difference between, like, what can look good when you try to sign and then what you get. And so just little things to look for, and then why you should always have reference pictures, and you're just looking, just know. From an eyeball, and a bunch of other fun stuff. Maybe we'll do a how you could do stuff. We'll have fun. I'll see you next time. 2 weeks. Same bad time, same channel. Be good to each other. I love you guys. Peace.
You're listening to Studio 57 Radio, your home for underground hip-hop, rap, and R&B. Studio 57 Radio.